Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna stop you before we go anywhere. I was chatting to Harry. You guys were supposed to have a magician tonight, weren't you? Yeah. Yes. And I was chatting to Harry earlier, and I felt that was a little bit of a hard act to follow, unless I did some magic. So I'm going to try a little bit of magic. Okay.
Have you ever done this before?
Yeah. I can. It's not really magic, you know. This was something I actually learnt in the army. Okay. This is kind of interrogation stuff, you know. Did some crazy things. Even did a survival weekend with the SAS once, and so you know, you pick up a few things. So I'm going to try something now. It might not work. If it does work, I've got, because you guys might just think I'm kind of making this up. All right, but I'm going to give it a go. Rob and I, we haven't planned anything tonight. I don't even know really what you're going to ask me. So this might fail spectacularly, but in case, I don't know, we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna pick a volunteer. Somebody. No, I'm not picking you. No. Holly, come here.
I'm scared. What have I volunteered for?
Remember he said SAS. I've got a bucket of water here somewhere.
I'm going to pull a pigeon out of your armpit.
Yes.
No, I'm not. Okay. So, now what's the guy that does the mind reading? What's his name?
Oh, Darren Brown.
Yeah, Darren Brown. Yeah, he's pretty cool. I like him. Yeah, we always want to be a bit like Darren Brown because we can kind of just read people's minds and kind of just do some really cool stuff and, you know, Jedi Knight stuff. Yeah? All right. Okay. If I pull this off, I'm basically a Jedi Knight. Is that right?
Excellent.
All right. Okay.
We're on tenterhooks.
Yeah, I know. It's exciting. So I'm going to ask you to think of some things. All right. And you've got to be really honest and you mustn't, you know, if I get it wrong, you've got to say I got it wrong. But if I get it right, you've got to, you know, just give me credit where credit's due. All right?
I'll try.
Okay. Right. Okay. So I'm going to try a hard one first. All right. Just to prove I can really do it. So I need you to think of a number, okay, between 1 and 27. Okay. Between 1 and 27. Now you've got to think really hard about it. Okay. Put your arms down by your side. Okay. And you've got to look at me right here. Okay. Okay. Keep looking here. Girls don't normally look at me for this long. It's great. Right. 21.
How did you know that?
21. It's not really magic. It's just kind of reading the face. Now, your sister's... Sorry? Well, we're going to come back to numbers in a minute. Hang on a second. Right. Where's your sister? Where's your sister? Is she here? Oh, it's because you don't believe me, do you? You don't believe me. Okay.
The skeptic in the back row there.
Right. So I'm going to need you to verify something that I perhaps can work out about her and her family. All right? Because it's the same family, right? Yeah? Okay. Right. So do you have do you have any musicians in the family?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna think of, or I want you to think of somebody in your family who is musical. Okay. And then I'm gonna get you to stare at me, and I'm gonna stare back at you in that slightly creepy way. And I'm gonna guess, or I'm gonna try and guess what instrument it is.
Okay.
All right. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. See, this is great. The rest of it's going to be really dull compared to this. Sorry.
That's okay. It's also going to be short. But carry on. You know, it's like, you know.
Right. Okay. So are you thinking of that person, and are you thinking of their instrument? Yeah. Okay. You sure? Yeah. Okay. Right. I hope you know your family as well as she does, otherwise it's not going to work very well. Okay. Right. Creepy look. Okay. It's not a stringed instrument. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. I think it's, I'm going to say the flute. Does somebody in your family play the flute? Yeah. Who in your family plays the flute? She doesn't know. This is no good.
I can't tell you in front of him. You do know. No, I don't. They're really musical.
This is no good.
Can I whisper to her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right, but they don't know. All right, well, I'm obviously better than you. Right, I'm sorry, that's all the magic I can do.
Round of applause for that. Keep the microphone. Have a seat. So, Magic Jez.
The great Jesmondo.
Jesmondo. That's wrong in so many ways. Anyway, carry on. Jez, tell us a bit about sort of what do you do? Where do you live? So, Paul's introduced you as Jez from Burundi. I don't know my geography very well, but you don't look like a Burundian. But
I've got a tan line.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Right.
So where were you born originally? Where did you come from originally?
So I was born in Beckenham in Bromley. Did you grow up there? You did, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All the best people come from there. And then I moved to Crowborough when I was about 19. Because I met loads of people from Crowborough at Cypher Camp at Colwyn Bay, as it was in those days. And then lived in Crowborough from 19 till sort of till now. So Crowborough is my home, but I live and work and have done for nearly 3 years in Burundi. Burundi's in Central Africa, and they call it the heart of Africa. Burundi actually looks a little bit like a heart, and it is right in the middle of Africa. So if you imagine like in the middle of nowhere, that's kind of pretty much where I live.
So why did you go and live in the middle of nowhere?
So I went and lived in the middle of nowhere. The short answer is God called me and my family there. My wife, I had visited Burundi to do some training about 3 or 4 years ago. And my wife, Ali, said to me, it was one Friday night, she was at Thirsty, she was praying, and said, I think God's really calling us to go and work in Burundi. We thought, we prayed, we spoke. I gave up my job, gave up my house and my car and all my books and everything, and we went.
So what do you do in Burundi? So you moved with the family to Burundi. What do you do in Burundi?
I'm a headmaster. I'm principal of a school, an English-speaking missionary school out there. About 600 kids, so it's not terribly big compared to some of the schools you guys go to. But the school was set up to initially to educate orphans from the genocide. So all of the violence that you've heard about, particularly in Rwanda, it all happened in Burundi. And that area is still really volatile. So we have children from Burundian orphanages, but also we have Congolese orphans as well, because Congo's still a little bit of a nasty place. And we try and be a Christian witness through the school out there.
So when you arrived in Burundi as the principal of this school, it was a Christian organisation. You were going to go and work for them. How was your first couple of months in Burundi?
So the first couple of months, and actually pretty much my whole time there, has been one of challenging chaos, I suppose. There was a guy who was supposed to run the administration of the school. One bank holiday weekend, he legged it and left us with millions of francs worth of debt. A Burundian franc's not worth an awful lot.
But it was
pounds. Well, I reckon in the end it will have been about 1 billion francs. So that would be about £400,000, which Burundi is the third poorest country in the world. So that's a huge amount of money.
So this guy did a runner with £400,000 of the school's money.
Yeah.
So how did you cope? Because there's no school that I know of that can cope with a loss of £400,000.
Firstly, I think we really saw God's work in calling us there, because my background is actually in finance. I'm an accountant and project manager by training. So a teacher, I think, wouldn't have known what to do. But as a finance guy, I was able to at least get my head around the problem. and at that time, and even now, the way I survive is through my faith and God's grace. And even today. Excuse me. Oh, that was a Fredo burp. I got a bit of Fredo coming back, and it was pretty good second time round.
It's a shame you didn't foresee that one.
No, next one I'll waft over, and you can.
Gee, thanks. I look forward to it.
Yeah. So even now, I got some really, really big things on my mind. Really big, scary, tough stuff. And the reason that I'm able to sit here, and the reason our family's been able to cope with everything we've been through is because of our faith and the way we actively see God working in our lives. So it's not just about me going to church and kind of reading the Bible a bit, but actually getting some really powerful and sometimes spooky answers to prayer. And so it's all God.
And so with the if you look at today, how are you doing against that massive financial debt, which I know caused a problem because you couldn't pay teachers, you couldn't pay bills, you couldn't carry on doing a building project. So how is it today?
Well, at the moment, a couple of days ago, the government closed my bank accounts for the school. Thanks for that, guys, because something that should have been paid every year apparently never was paid, despite what I had thought. So I'm going to have to go back and negotiate with the government to free that up. I think it'll take me another 2 years before we can actually stop making a loss.
So what are some of the challenges of somebody that you've found as somebody sort of picking themselves up from a country like UK and moving to a country like Burundi? What have been some of the challenges for you in doing that?
Well, one of them is a French-speaking country, and my French is rubbish. So that doesn't help much.
No.
But I'm English, so if they don't understand, I just speak English a bit louder.
Shout.
Say, do you speak English? No. Actually, I do that sometimes. What are the challenges? I mean, the culture is vastly different. I have people working for me that come from so many different countries. I have this constant worry about how I'm going to pay people's salaries. I want to be a good and a loving boss. So that's a really big challenge. We hardly, water supply is constantly disrupted. Power is really bad as well. You can't buy the things that you might want to buy. And it's still a very interesting place to, in terms of safety. I mean, the hospitals are just a complete disaster. And at the moment, we've got some elections coming up, which could potentially get quite nasty.
What, nasty as in?
Nasty as in people shooting each other.
Okay. So it's a place which is, not an easy place to live, not a safe place to live sometimes.
No, and our house, I mean, we do feel safe there most of the time, but, we do live in a compound that's got, a 10-foot high wall with razor wire. We've got professional security guards, and we have panic buttons in the house, and we have 3 dogs outside, and all our window, So, you just have to be sensible.
So, how has God blessed you in sending you to Burundi? Give me one.
I'll be really honest, and sometimes that's a really hard question to answer, because I think when we step up to serve God, He does not promise an easy ride. That's absolutely not promised anywhere, and it has been really, really tough. And so it's really easy for me sometimes to just be really, a bit negative and about sort of, it's so hard. How has He blessed us? I mean, the family, we spend more time as a family. We do interesting and exciting things. We see our prayers answered. We have just, awesome church out there, which is great. And we get the, I get the opportunity to see God working in a really, really real way, and, one of those might be money. I don't get paid at all. I rely on donations, and they're not always regular. And so most of the time I have no idea how we're going to survive day by day. And I worry about that a lot. But God has always, always, always been faithful. And that's pretty awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you. We always finish off all the interviews with the same thing. So the reason this is called The Big Questions is we ask people at Beacon about what were some of the big questions. And Glenn is dealing with a lot of those big questions. And there were some big questions of the universe that we didn't quite give Glenn. So I know it's a bit of a tough one that we sort of give our guests. And so I've got a few here. So here's the first one, is why is super glue so sticky?
Why is super glue so sticky?
Yes.
It has a very special ingredient in it called gluiness. The actual Latin name is gluiness.
Thank you so much. That probably was far beyond what the person ever thought you'd ever say. And this one probably is relevant because of your age. Is were dinosaurs awesome?
Yes.
They were excellent, good. And there's one final question, which I know is particularly dear to your heart, and I know your answer now. It says here, do gingers have souls? Well, that was the question. Don't blame me, blame the question.
You see these T-shirts, and it sort of goes sort of ape and early man and then mankind, and really actually ginger is the next level of evolution. So really what I'm saying is
yes.
I'm better than all of you.
So, Jez, thank you so much indeed. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Thank you.